So Alaska is certainly one of those locations that's at the top of many cruisers' bucket list. But I was always hesitant to go there. And now I've gone there, and I'm coming back with some conclusions. Specifically, I want to answer the question, who should go to Alaska? So I invite you to watch this video before your cruise to Alaska, and let's figure out, is this cruise going to be for you? Alaska. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony. And here today, I'm going to be your Alaska guide. I'm going to be the guide for the person that's getting ready to lay down their Alaska money with the trepidation of, should I do that or should I not do that? You're going to have to make some calculated decisions. And before we get there, I want to thank the sponsor of today's show, Skillshare. I was reminded when I said calculated decisions because I've been working on a class inside of Skillshare about business analytics. It's what I used to do in my old life as an IT guy. I used to do a lot of business analytics. And one of the tools I use the most is Excel. So I've been taking this class about Excel. And I got the cart before the horse here. Do you know what Skillshare is? Skillshare is an online learning community filled with classes for curious learners, continuous learners, people that want to keep their brain fresh as they continue through life. It's also a great way to learn new skills, and Skillshare is packed with a great catalog of learning from the creative arts to business to productivity to entrepreneurship. There is likely a class that will pique your interest, and what I really like about learning over at Skillshare is they have a platform where you can learn at your own pace. You can learn with these small nuggets, but you can also learn uninterrupted, not interrupted, distracted by ads. It's just learning. What I'm hoping to get from this Excel class is to be able to crunch some of the data I get from YouTube and write a special formula to be able to make the best video ever. Okay, those are lofty goals, but I will be using these Excel skills. Hey, have you ever been interested in trying Skillshare? They're doing a great offer here this month. First 1,000 of our subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so that you can explore your creativity. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's show. Now let's get on with the question at hand. Who should go to Alaska? Specifically, which cruisers should go to Alaska? First of all and foremost, look, I'm a ship guy. There's the old debate between the ship guy and the port guy, the ship person, the port person. Well, if you are a port person, you should go to Alaska. There is a variety of new places to see, new ports to go to. When I was there, I went to Juneau, to Skagway, to Ketchikan, and honestly, it was unlike any of the other port cities I'd been to on any of my travels. So number one, if you are a port person, you better get on a cruise to Alaska. Number two, are you adventurous? I've talked to people before. I like to go on a cruise because I like to have some adventure. Well, Alaska is certainly it. It's one of the last untamed frontiers where people have been going to for hundreds of years in the search of gold and resources and adventure. Famous books, Call of the Wild, Jack London, an adventurous guy who went up as a journalist and wrote about Alaska. So you could be the next Jack London, as it were, after 1 week in Alaska. That's probably too much of a stretch. But if you want to go up there and see something new, if you want to go up there and like do a dog sled excursion or stuff you just can't do everywhere, if you are adventurous in spirit, if you're an adventurous cruiser, Alaska, that's a good place to go. Number three, the Naturalist. Are you somebody that is in tune with nature? Are you somebody who, when you go down to the Caribbean, you want to go look at the coral reefs, that you want to understand what's going on with the wildlife there, that you want to understand how the ecology is going on in the places that you visit? Do you have that connection? Well, I tell you what, Alaska is all about nature. The cruise that I was on, there was a lecture every day by a naturalist from the area talking about what was happening. When we went to Glacier Bay, park rangers came on and talked about the glaciers. Such a convergence of different kinds of nature from the environment and animals and what was going on, with the sea. So many things converged on this Alaska cruise. If one of the things that really gets you exciting about cruising is the animals, the nature, the environment, the ecology, Alaska, it is going to scratch that itch. The fourth person that should go to Alaska is the thrill seeker. Very close to the adventurous, but you can do some pretty extreme things in Alaska. You can go on a seaplane. You can ride a helicopter to a glacier. You can hike up the side of a mountain. You can go and be in proximity to dangerous animals. You can go see bears. I was 30 feet away from an orca, a killer whale. I wasn't really thrill seeking, but it was thrilling, I'll tell you that. So if you're somebody that's going in search of the thrills, Alaska is a good place for you. Number 5 on my list, it's weird, but I would say like the physically fit, or people that are physically fit because they like to hike and climb. Alaska is great for this. Everywhere we stopped, there were like great hiking trails. You could hike a little, you could hike a lot. You could really get immersed in kind of a hiking, walking, climbing culture there in Alaska. So if part of your, maybe it doesn't have to be tied to physical fitness, maybe you just like to hike, and so yeah, let me disassociate the physical fitness. I do think that if you are somebody who likes a good workout, going to Alaska is definitely someplace you should go. And then if you're a hiker or a climber, this is a cruise that you should take. Number 6, history buffs. I tell you what, I did not do enough research when it came to the history of Alaska, but I was surrounded by history. This is an old land with old cultures and old civilizations there. We had a lot of exposure to the history of the native people, the indigenous people that live there, in addition to the history of gold mining there in Alaska. Towns like Skagway really built up there around the gold rush, and so there was a lot to really dig into there. I tell you what, if you're going from a history perspective, you want to do some research in advance, and then when you land in some of these towns, you're really going to be able to connect the dots between the history that we read and that we research and the actual place. So the history buff would have a great time in Alaska. Before I get to number 7 on my list, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. Thank you in advance. Number 7, and this one seems obvious, or it was to me as soon as we made our way into Alaska. I'm talking about photographers and videographers. If one of your things that excites you the most is capturing that majestic, wonderful shot, capturing something that you can't see very many other places, Alaska is the place for you. But you bring all your camera gear, and you're going to have a spectacular time capturing landscapes and wildlife. It's everywhere you looked was a picture. Honestly, like you could blow through all of your memory cards just sailing the Inside Passage. So if photography and videography is your bag, Alaska is a place you have to visit. Number 8 on my list, the Foodies. I tell you what, I was excited to go and just try the food in Alaska. We went to Ketchikan, the salmon capital of the world. We went to Tracy's Crab Shack in Juneau. These are seafood towns. These are fishing towns. These are towns on the water, and you have the opportunity as a foodie when you go to have some of the freshest seafood possible. You're right there where the fishing occurs, and there's all kinds of different restaurants there with their own spin on the local cuisine that you can go explore when you explore Alaska. So if you're somebody who's never been to that area of the country, definitely want to go so that you can try some of the cuisine that exists there in Alaska. Foodies. This would be a cruise for you. Number 9 on my list are people that like to party. I know that people like to go down to the Caribbean to get their fun in the sun on, to get their drink on. Well, you're not left out on an Alaska cruise. In these port cities that we stopped in, there was a fair amount of bars and saloons and places where you could spend a few hours kicking back some drinks, singing along to a piano player. This is where you could just have a fun body time in old gold mining towns. So even if you're worried that, hey, every time I like to get off the port, I just like to find the local brewery, well, they got that for you there in Alaska. So there's a spot for the partiers in the Great White North also. And number 10 on my list, and this should be no surprise, if you are a cruiser and you're looking to round out your cruising experience, you got to go to Alaska. Alaska is for all cruisers. To me, Alaska is another one of those locations that really fits into what I think the magic of cruising is. One of the reasons I think that cruising opens up seeing other countries to so many people is it offers kind of a gateway to go to a foreign place, to explore it for a small period of time, and then to return the traveler back to the familiar safety of the cruise ship. There's a couple ways to go traveling for sure. You could be immersive, you could live in the culture, you could stay there for days and try to navigate everything about the culture, but that's not easy for everybody, and I really like the fact that cruising allows you to go and experience, but then also to have that comfortable feeling of the cruise ship. And Alaska is another one of those places where that is true, where you can go out and be an explorer for 4 hours or 8 hours or however long you're in a port, but then you can go back to your cabin and understand where to get dinner without too much hassle. So I really think that's the secret. I had to leave it to the end. I think everybody should cruise to Alaska if you are a cruiser. There is a reason it's at the top of everybody's bucket list. And after going there one time, all of my trepidation is gone. I am ready to go back. The question for the comments is this: do you fit on my list, at least in numbers 1 through 9, because everybody should fit into number 10? What kind of cruiser are you? Do you think Alaska is the place for you? Have you been to Alaska? What's your favorite thing? Leave a comment below. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. A big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring the show. Please hit the like button to show your support. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.